You're listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. The show that gives pastors and church leaders the clarity they need to protect their people, property, and ministry.
Welcome back to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. I'm your host, Ron Wadley with Insurance for Texans. We help church leaders to protect their people and property with wisdom and clarity. This episode is going to clear up a question that confuses a lot of Texas church leaders. Let me introduce you to Charles. Charles serves on the leadership team at a church in Frisco. After receiving a non-renewal notice from their longtime insurance company, he did what many of you have had to do. He went shopping for new coverage. After weeks of conversations and proposals, he ended up with two solid options on his desk. The coverage looked similar. The pricing wasn't wildly different, but there was one big difference. One insurance company was admitted in Texas. The other was non-admitted, and Charles wondered if this actually mattered or not. The short answer is yes, but maybe not in the way you think. Let's start with what admitted actually means. An admitted insurance company is licensed and regulated by the Texas Department of Insurance. These are usually large, well-known carriers. The big advantage here is oversight and something called guarantee fund protection. If an admitted carrier were to become insolvent, the state has a safety net that helps pay covered claims. From a leadership and fiduciary standpoint, that feels comforting. Charles liked knowing there was an extra layer of protection behind the policy if something catastrophic happened. But that isn't the whole story. Because when Charles looked at his church's actual situation, older buildings, a heavy hail zone, and a tighter underwriting environment, those admitted options started to thin out quickly. That's where non-admitted insurance comes into the conversation. A non-admitted insurance company is still legal. They're still legitimate, but they aren't regulated by the state in the same way. Because of that, they have more flexibility in how they structure coverage, how they underwrite risk, and what kinds of churches they're willing to insure. And in today's Texas church insurance market, that flexibility matters. Non-admitted carriers are often the only ones willing to insure older church buildings, larger roofs, or properties sitting right in the middle of high hail corridors. That was exactly Charles's situation in Frisco. Now, here's the trade-off. Non-admitted carriers do not come with guarantee fund protection. If the company fails, there's no state backstop. That sounds scary, and it can be if you don't know who you're dealing with. But here's what most people miss. Financial strength matters more than labels. Some non-admitted carriers have exceptionally strong financial ratings and deep experience in church and nonprofit insurance. In Charles's case, the non-admitted option offered better property coverage, lower out-of-pocket exposure during a claim, and a structure that actually worked for his building and location. The admitted option felt safer on paper, but the non-admitted option was safer in practice. That's the part that requires wisdom and guidance. So when should a church lean towards an admitted carrier? If your church has a newer facility, lower weather exposure, and fairly standard operations, an admitted carrier can be a great fit. The oversight and guarantee fund protection can bring peace of mind, especially if pricing and coverage still make sense. And when does non-admitted make sense? If your church has an older building, sits in a high-risk weather area, or has been pushed out of the admitted market by non-renewals, non-admitted coverage may not just be an option, it may be the right option. Sometimes it's the only path to meaningful protection. The key is choosing based on understanding rather than fear. Charles realized that the real question was whether or not the church had a policy that protected what was important to them. That's where experience guidance makes all the difference. This is exactly why our True Texas Church Insurance approach starts with questions, not quotes. You can't make a wise decision without understanding your risk profile, your building, your ministries, and the financial strength of the companies involved. If you've been presented with an admitted and non-admitted option and don't know how to evaluate the difference, pause before you choose and have a specialist walk through the trade-offs with you. Connect with our church insurance team by visiting our website at insurancefortexans.com. If you would like a more comprehensive overview of church insurance, get a copy of our book, The Promise of Certainty, at thepromiseofcertainty.com. I'm Ron Wadley, and this has been Faith Stewardship and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. Until next time, remember, insurance isn't just about checking a box. It's about protecting what matters.
Thanks for listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance. Until next time, remember, insurance isn't just about policies. It's about safeguarding the mission God has called you to lead.